Hey guys, quick heads up. This episode is amazing and I hope you enjoy it. But just a heads up, my audio kind of sucks for this episode. So please bear with us. It will be fixed by next episode though. Thank you. Hi guys, Victor from Tech Heads here. Before we get started today, I would like to announce once again that our Patreon is officially live, but this time with some extra features. When you sign up, you officially become a producer of the show. This means that you will get access to exclusive behind-the-scenes content, such as our extensive show notes. On top of this, you will also have access to the episodes 4 days earlier than everybody else. If this sounds good to you, feel free to check it out at patreon.com/techheads.
4.
Now on
3,
with the show.
2, 1. So, here we go.
How you all feel tonight?
Alrighty, well, Metaheads. I'm sorry.
Oopsie.
I forgot we're the ones rebranding here. Tech Heads back again. Don't worry, we'll probably get into the meta stuff later at the end of the show. But anyways, welcome back everybody. This time we're bringing you a middle of the day, middle of the week lunch break special. That's right, it's hump day and a little past hump hour for me, and I guess Anna's probably hitting like the tail end of her workday.
Yeah, exactly.
Or I guess neck end. I don't know. I guess it depends on which end of the camel you started at. But anyways, we have some great stuff on the docket today. We're talking about the future and how soon the future could be coming. I guess this is like a super mini town hall discussion on some cool stuff regarding the web. But before we, even jump into that, how's your week been so far? It's weird that it's not the weekend.
Yeah, halfway through, but it's been good. Preparing for exams that I have this week and this weekend actually, and working on, our senior project, our database project that is essentially like a full stack application. And funny thing is we hit like a pretty big roadblock with the topic and the data set that we had originally proposed. So between like a Monday and yesterday, we totally pivoted the data that we're going to use like to a different data set, a different topic for the project. But luckily, the structure, the user interface itself is not going to suffer any delays because we're just rendering data on the front end anyway. But we had to go with like a more modest set, data set that didn't require a lot of cleanup because the other one was just hopeless. And we had to talk to the professor yesterday and we were just like, can we change our topic? He's like, you need a project. Change it then, so I was like, okay, good. So now things are moving along. We have a guy in our team that is like a SQL master, and that's going to help a ton. And then I'm going to be working with one of our other teammates on the front end and like that we're using React, and also the charting library that we plan on using as well. So that should
Which one?
We're using High Charts. Yeah, it's recommended by one of our teammates because we have like 4 people total, and they've used it before. So I was like, okay, like another library that someone has really good expertise on. Because I've used what is the one, Chart.js? I used that for like a previous project, and then there was one that we discussed here. Was it Chart.js or no? It was 3JS. D3. Yeah, right.
I think.
One
Somebody
of those
shows.
Yeah, I know. I can't remember anymore. So we're using SQL as a database, Node, Express, React, and that's like our full stack app. So it should be like good practice. I just hope that like now that we decided to change and the data is in much better shape than the previous one, we'll be able to have like a good final product. And then once we do, I'll give you like a little peek. Luckily, we're not required to deploy it, so we can just run on localhost when we present it to the professor. But it has to be fully functional. So, I'm probably going to create a little GIF and then post it on our repository, so people can see what it does. So that'd be kind of cool.
Idea. I was just gonna suggest that. I love doing that for
Me
little.
too.
Yeah, it looks so cool.
It does.
It's the only readme
Yeah.
you need.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Not a lot of, other like verbiage other than, yeah, dependencies like tech stack, that kind of stuff. But the GIF will show everything. So, yeah, that's what I've been up to this week. How about you?
Just working.
Yeah.
Enjoying my lunch break with you, chilling.
Good.
It's been super, super chill. Nothing crazy. I wish I had some exciting news and homework to talk about, but
Oh, no, you
didn't
don't.
really.
No homework.
Just being a normal adult,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
about it. Yeah,
But you have your birthday to look forward to, right? So that should be fun.
I do. I'm pretty stoked for 25, I think.
Very good.
Yeah. Scared to be 30 though.
Well, thanks. No, it feels weird because obviously like I feel like my birthday was last year, so 2020, and I turned 30. I wanted to go like on a fun trip with family and friends, but it was in the middle of, lockdown here in the US. So obviously it was a much more muted version of the birthday that I was hoping to get. But it's yeah, I made the most of it like with my family. And then this year we sort of celebrated it a bit early because we went to Mexico for a few days, so that was very fun. And yeah, it honestly, I feel like to me it just ends up being like another birthday. They come too fast now. I feel like it just goes by like a whole year is just like zipping by, and then you're like, oh crap. So now, I mean, I used to say that too about 30. Now I'm afraid of like making it to 40 and saying I'm 40 years old. That's just going to be really weird. Really weird. Yeah.
Terrifying.
It is terrifying. I
I
get why people have, midlife crisis.
yeah. Yeah, this is going to be my quarter life, I think. Yeah, I guess I still feel like I'm like 23, I guess, because I feel like the pandemic birthdays didn't count.
Right.
I feel like I'm the same everything since before it started. I feel like it's all been on freeze mode because I still feel like things are kind of weird and not
Yeah.
totally back to normal at all. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm stoked to be 25 and finally be an age I can remember the number of. So that'll be fun.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, and I do feel like I've come a long way since 23, even though I'd like maturely wise, like I feel like I'm just some little kid still like in college,
Yeah.
not supposed to be this old, but I am proud of myself that I've come this far. So yeah,
Good. Yeah,
pretty
see
stoked for it.
that's the good thing about, aging. Like it, as long as you take something with you every year, then you start to like they start to actually matter. It's not just like a change in the number. So
Yeah,
that's a cool thing.
yeah. I was looking at one of these like notebooks I like to write in sometimes, and I've had it since I was probably 23, and I was like, holy crap, I was in a totally different place at 23. This is crazy.
Right?
And like I had these goals and I just, I made them probably and then I just totally forgot about them. But then I was looking at the goals the other day and I was like, oh, I moved. I left Florida and like, oh, I got a great job. And,
Yeah.
like just all these random goals. I was like, whoa, I've done like almost all of these. This is pretty cool.
That's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
the transformation. I mean, it's I have to say like because I think, we get along because we also like change. I mean, I've never had, like really like a goal about moving away. I would like to, but obviously there are other ways that I can change my life, by staying where I'm at. So I think that if you don't really change that much in like a matter of a couple of years, then I don't know. It feels weird, like you would think that you're always like switching things up. I like to, I can never like do the same thing for too long. But yeah, there you go. Like you already, can cross some of those off. So that's really cool.
Yeah. I'm just going to set the bar a little higher, I guess, and try not to be like, whoa, I guess I'd set these goals and then I just did it without thinking. I should probably set some harder goals and keep them in mind throughout the time and see how it goes. Maybe that'd be interesting to see what I could do.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it should be. I think next year is going to be a fun one, especially now that things are kind of like starting to not go like, sort of go back to normal. Like last year it was just like weird to really plan anything, but everyone thought the world was going to end. So, it was good, like the zombie apocalypse coming. So, yeah, but next year I feel like it should be an interesting one. I'm very much looking forward to it.
I'm excited to just have an even number year again. This whole year, it made me very uncomfortable with just the number of the year. I've been like,
man, what a roller coaster. I was going to say, what a roller coaster for you, because, every other year is just a weird year.
I know. Exactly. But this one, it's great because, it's a nice, it's almost symmetrical. We're almost, only 200 years off from it being like the most perfect numbered year ever. But, this will do. I'll keep it. Sure. So,
yeah, exactly.
Speaking of numbers, though, we're talking about the different stages of the web today.
Yes, we are.
But mostly we're talking about Web 3.0. We're probably not going to spend too much time on 1.0 and 2.0. But we're going to explore and just talk about Web 3.0 because we're interested to see what it holds for the future of the internet. And we're also just going to talk about what we think this is actually going to turn out to be, because it's been, I found a funny chat from probably 2009 on some forum, and some guy's like, oh, Web 3.0 is like 2 years from now, it's coming. And then people are like, you're crazy. Like no one's ever going to be able to build anything to that scale that really has exactly all the things that we think should change about 2.0. And it's like weird because it was 2009. So like you were hardly even in 2.0 to even begin thinking that,
Right.
So, but we'll get into it. For me, I started hearing about Web 3.0 like, a couple years ago, just maybe a TED Talks or like just like really crazy, smart looking people just talking about it. But I never really gave it too much thought. But then as our interests in crypto and blockchain and, decentralization kind of started taking off, I started to see Web 3.0 a lot more whenever we would do research and whatnot. Yeah. So it just kind of made sense that we should do an episode on it.
Right.
Yeah. So the internet, like most things in the world of technology, has definitely gone through its fair share of changes and advances, obviously. So going back to the age of the dinosaurs, around 1990, I think, was when the last dinosaur was alive. Maybe to the very early 2000s, the internet as we knew it was super limited. I like to say that it was the digital newspaper age, because it was non-interactive, meaning that there wasn't really anywhere to log into, or you couldn't really post your thoughts and ideas, and there weren't even ways to track analytics. So some say this stage of the internet was read-only or Web 1.0, whatever you want to call it. There's no like formal definition for any of these at all, but these are more of general consensus. Consensus? I don't know how you would say that. But
that's a good question. I don't know either.
General acceptance. Let's put it that way.
Okay. Yeah. There you go.
So that would be generally what people refer to as Web 1.0.
Yeah, that was. if you just compare, like, obviously, like, I guess we're not into 3.0 yet, but just comparing to like what we now consider the internet, like, I don't even know how useful, the previous like internet version was, because it was just maybe like sending emails and, some light browsing. But then again, it's nowhere close to the experience that we have now. Like, there's so much that happens, even with the internet version that we have now at 2.0. So it just feels like it definitely was like a different era. So it has already like gone through a renovation cycle, like in the early, or like the late 2000s, early 2010s, because of everything else that came about after that, like social media and cloud computing, all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, at least, obviously they were going from like typing machines or typewriters to computers that early on, so it was revolutionary then, just like I think 3.0 is going to be revolutionary for us now. So
yeah, and that's kind of why I thought about Web 1.0 as like the newspaper age, because it's like it's like getting the newspaper today. You get it and you just read it, and that's all you can really do.
yeah.
There's nothing interactive about it. I mean, you can't you can run ads, but you can't target ads to certain people. It's one newspaper with the same ad for every single one for that day. So, you can't exactly leverage data or anything like that.
Right.
Which kind of brings in what Web 2.0 consisted of. So eventually we moved on to the current stage of the internet, Web 2.0, where users not only consume information, read only, kind of like how the newspaper age was.
Right.
I'm like making it official. That was the newspaper age.
Okay. That's fair with me. Yeah.
Yeah. But the web pages also consume information about the user now and send that information to big centralized tech industries. So by learning more and more about the user, the tech companies are able to keep users on the web pages longer. And let me tell you, time is money. So clearly privacy is not the goal in this day and age yet. More and more people are realizing that they would like more privacy online. So that is sort of the bridge, one of the bridges to Web 3.0. But let's talk a little bit more about Web 2.0, because this age is obviously what's happening right now, and it is great that we got to this point. You can't say that it was one single thing. Like you can't say it was Java, or Facebook was probably, in my opinion, one of the biggest influences into Web 2.0.
Yeah. I would have to agree.
How old is it? Like, it's not 20 years old, is it? It's probably like 17 years old.
Something like that, yeah. So when it started in Harvard, it was like early 2000s. So
right. So that was a crazy time, because this was when we really started having the interactivity between people. With MySpace and those sorts of sites, we could post our thoughts and ideas, and we could chat with people, and we could share live updates as they're happening, on mobile devices. And, the darker side of it was that this was, probably the epicenter of data tracking. And, if you're a big corporation sitting on all this data, you have to do something with it, I guess, in their defense, because they aren't making money off of people using a free app. So to monetize it, they have to sell the data, and in order to, further advance the app and employ great engineers. And, unfortunately, that's just what they decided to do. I'm not really for it, but, you could have just, charged us a little bit for some games and stuff. I don't know. I'm not too sure how I really feel about it. I'm definitely not more towards the data part. But yeah, that is what Web 1.0 really turned out to be. It's this really interesting marketing, what's the word? Not a scheme, but just I guess you could call it a scheme. It is pretty weird that.
Yeah, I think it is. Right. It's like, it's definitely is, like a marketing medium, because the reach is it's there's no limit, you can target the whole world with the internet. Whereas, if you wanted to do like print ads, a print ad is only going to be seen by like, someone who's walking on the street, or like someone who's driving in their car and sees a billboard or something like that. Now with the internet, like you can really, like you can target anyone. So I think that's why it became such a like a weapon of mass marketing, like that's what it is. And the way, that I see the difference, like the evolution going from 2.0 to 3.0, is the fact that it seemed to be just a single layered, internet back in the day. Now it has a lot more to that, because we maybe like the user, now that, we've been in the tech world for a little bit, we start to observe how things behave differently, compared to like an average person that pulls out their phone, goes to Amazon and just buys, like I don't know, like a baby wipes, for instance, so they don't think about what's going on behind the scenes, like that, how the computer is already profiling their future needs by that single purchase, so it has become like something that is supposed to predict, like human behavior. I know that we've already touched on this before, because it is way more, than just a single purchase. It's like anticipating the needs of that person. So they keep coming back, you keep converting them, into like a habitual customers. And we know that, I mean, I can easily say that I probably consume more now because of the convenience that it is having like Amazon or something shipped directly to your door that you can buy on your phone in a matter of like seconds, So like you don't have to get in your car, don't have to drive to the store. That's what I mean. Like the internet got so powerful because of the convenience it brings, to every single person that wants to interact with it. But now it's not even just a matter of want. You need to interact with the internet, to get things done, because there are things that, I mean, you can get away without having an email for anything nowadays anymore. You go to the doctor's office, they're like, "What's your phone number? What's your email?" Like it has kind of like tied everybody to it, because that is just the way that technology works. It keeps like moving forward. If you don't want to grow with the trend, and then you're going to stay behind. But then you brought up a very good point about privacy, because we have like, unfortunately, we've compromised our privacy as a way to have more convenience. That's even something that was brought up to me when I went to like a local tech talk, and the guy said, yeah, like if you choose, that you want to be a more private person in terms of the internet and technology, you will be inconvenienced. So it's a trade-off, but obviously that's really up to the individual. But there's also a lot of, issues with the big tech companies now that just consider people as products. And that's not really the case, because the impact that they have, I mean, we've seen with Facebook, the impact that they have on society is so large that it can't just be a matter of now of the individual choosing to be inconvenienced. So they have to be held accountable, for what they're doing. So I think that's why, there's going to be like a big push for blockchain, decentralization, like you said, with, Web 3.0, because we already see like how big of an impact, some of the choices, the structural choices for 2.0 are not the most sound and not sustainable, like the things are just going to like go off the rails. I feel like eventually something has to be done about it. So I think that like even the guy who like the original guy that created the internet, let me pull up his name. I have his name here. World Wide Web inventor Tim Berners-Lee called the 3.0, the Web 3.0, the semantic web, which is the interconnected web, in terms of like blockchain and all of that. And he admitted that the current structure of the web is just, it's not sustainable for, the long run. So we're approaching that iteration point, I think that inflection point, where like we have to redo things to accommodate what we actually like need now, and with the technologies that we have now. Like if we have better technology, why not? So I think that's my take on it.
Yeah, I'm totally with you on that. I also like looking into this stuff a little bit. I remember I don't exactly remember how it happened, but I saw that some guy found out because of targeted ads. He found out that his wife was pregnant. Or he really his wife has to be pregnant because he's seeing like baby food ads or something, wow. Or like or maybe an ad for somewhere to get a pregnancy test or something. I'm not too sure exactly what it was, but
yeah,
it's just so fascinating that is like the thing now, because like who knows, maybe she was searching like pregnancy symptoms because maybe she was feeling like that or whatever, and like, you know, maybe these data tracking systems were seeing like, oh well, she's not driving her kids to school as much anymore, like she's staying at home, like let's see like what, I don't know, I don't really know the ins and outs of it, but yeah, it is a pretty crazy weird time that can happen where like things like that, you know, a pregnancy of all things, which is supposed to be, you know, traditionally an exciting thing that you would share with somebody by word of mouth, not from some ad while you're on Amazon watching some stupid video on YouTube. So so Web 3.0 is supposed to be the answer to concerns over users' privacy in that regard. So in this future stage of the internet, the idea is that the user is no longer just a consumer, and that people will have much more control over what they share online. Overall, it stands for decentralization, meaning that everyone, or not everyone, but everything is running off of independently run servers, which we talked about in a previous episode, but all over the world, versus just a single system owned by a single large entity like Google or Facebook. So in other words, it's an internet powered by blockchains. So great environment for cryptocurrency, which we've also talked about. And on that note, actually, the crypto surge that really began in the early 2010s is what really brought back the idea of peer-to-peer networks and decentralization as a whole. So, in fact, there's actually lots of talk amongst blockchain experts that every big company will eventually be run by a large decentralized group called a DAO or a DAO. I'm not sure if you would say DAO or just say DAO. Maybe DAO, that might be easier. But it stands for Decentralized Autonomous Organization. And this is crazy for me to picture, just because this could mean that there will be no overall leaders within the company, such as like your traditional president or CEO of the company. You know, these are the people who usually decide what can stay or get taken off a web page, which a lot of people are totally against, obviously. This, you know, the idea of censorship is a touchy subject nowadays and everything, of course. But instead, like, these decisions could be made by those holding most tokens within that company. But back to the privacy bit before, this excites a lot of people just because, like you mentioned, how it's really inconvenient to remain as anonymous as possible on the internet today. Web 3.0 is supposed to make it much more attainable, because your personal identification, like your real the real information about you, like your first name, last name, email, social, that stuff will no longer be as tied to you with your online presence as it is today. And this is, you know, for the people who are really concerned about privacy online, this is a really exciting thing it's sort of coming much faster than a lot of people thought. I mean, we already have Ethereum, which is, you know, the currency that we can make smart contracts for and make transactions with online without it being tied to our personal identity, which is like one of the biggest things that we were so skeptical about in previous years. So it's like already a big leap that we've gone this far. So who knows, like a decade down the road, 2 decades down the road, like where we're going to be now. Because I mean, computers haven't been around that long, you know, relative to humans, I guess, or society and technology. But I mean, just with the fact that like computers have been around as long as they have, which again isn't really that long. Yeah, just like I can see how exponential the growth will be with the idea of Web 3.0 and how quickly it will actually just be here, and we'll be like, oh, well, this is just the web now, because we don't call the internet or the web 2.0. We just call it the internet, you know?
Yeah, exactly. No, yeah, you're so right. I think in terms of, you know, the time, like, you know, like the timeline of this, obviously it's hard to like, pinpoint. I feel like a lot of these changes are very gradual. You only really like realize it when you're already like living in it. So yeah, obviously, we have like firsthand experience with I would say probably 2.0, right? I mean, I had like I at most like in the early 2000s I was using Google and maybe like AOL, like that kind of stuff, like chats and things like that. But yeah, my like my I think the bulk of my experience with the web, and interaction with it has been with 2.0. So it's going to feel it's probably going to be like a smooth change and like a smooth upgrade into 3.0, because otherwise, yeah, it's one of those things where you just got left behind again. So it should be. I'm pretty excited for it. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. So I guess we'll just have to like wait and see how more of the platforms that we're already used to using are going to adopt, 3.0 and plan for it. And then, new ones too, because obviously, I'm a huge supporter of Ethereum and cryptocurrency. So I think it should be interesting to see how those get integrated more and more, with how we live, like not just by how, you actually like interact with a browser, like other areas of life, that you would be able to experience like the results, or like the effects rather of 3.0. So AI is coming.
Yeah.
I mean, it's already here, but
Well, you're saying that it's coming as in like it's becoming something that anybody with a computer can just like write some code and they start utilizing AI to make predictions on like whatever they want.
Right.
I think because people are so like they're how do I put this without like I'm not trying to sound like I'm psycho, but like people like developers who are heavily interested in new web technologies like blockchain development and NFTs and crypto, like, that whole cloud of crazy new technology, because it is really new stuff. But the people that are involved in those things early on are going to be the ones who are probably going to be the most well-versed and well-educated in Web 3.0 when it comes. And like, who knows, like where they could be from like 10, 20 years from now. Like they might be at like a whole new level of Web 3.0, like leading big companies or big organizations within it. We mentioned DAOs before. They might be like, high up in a DAO for a company making really big, heavy decisions. And I think that it is important to at least be educated in what's coming soon, because it, it's supposed to be a smooth transition to every stage, just kind of happens and, people just adopt to the times. But I think that, people like you and me, we're not exactly experts in this stuff, but we're definitely, we have a leg up. And I think that it is important for people who are at least a little scared of changing of the times for the internet. They should at least be caught up on what's going on. So then they're just ready for it mentally, and they can, maybe avoid some crazy mistakes with, because, there's going to be more illegal content, I'm sure, online, because, there's already things like that exist. So it makes sense that there's going to be platforms like a decentralized YouTube where, you can upload a video and nobody can take it down. And it could be as crazy, graphic, and, illegal as you want. Unfortunately, it's going to be this stage where, the censorship aspect is going to be totally different than what it is today. So there are some things to be concerned about sometimes, like that.
That's true.
It's the Wild West, though. So it's hard to really like define what's going to happen step by step.
Right. Yeah, no, that's a very good point, because, like what will the oversight be, if you have like total freedom over what's on the, on the web then. But I think going back to like what I said earlier in terms of like a smooth, transition and adoption to like a 3.0. It should be easier for the end users, I would think. Because obviously, if you're thinking about companies now that are trying to prepare how they're going to adapt to such a drastic change, that is where I think maybe the resistance or even the challenge will be to build up to being a web 3.0 business, or like company or whatever. Because I mean, a lot of resources, a lot of time have been already allocated to making things work how they are. But that's the trick, I mean, we both know very well that once you get into tech, you never stop learning. Like you always have to, keep up with the trends. And this is like a big one, that we'll all have to learn about and work with, because it's just something that is, it's coming. It's going to be here one day. We'll have to learn how to live with it and adopt, how we currently do things to the current, to the new structure of how the web will be. But obviously, there will be trade-offs just like there are now. I mean, I think that it's such a difficult, way to solve this, the current conflict that we have with do we have too little privacy? Okay, we want a lot of privacy, but then that gives so much freedom. And okay, so we're not allowed to have, censorship or oversight. Then that gives freedom for people to do anything they want. So is too little privacy too bad, or is too much freedom too bad? So it's such a it's such a double-edged sword. And I think there's no good answer. I mean, it's all about finding the balance there, a happy medium. But I mean, as far as decentralization goes, I feel like that's inevitable. It's going to happen whether the government wants it or not.
Yeah, no doubt. And luckily we're seeing it before our eyes. I mean, Bitcoin is
right.
One of the biggest driving factors of this move to 3.0. It's just proof that it's happening and people are down and peer-to-peer is back as far as that goes. Actually relying on others and trusting others online, because I feel like we started out with Web 1.0 being able to be like, oh, I trust you, whatever, who cares? I'll give you my credit card. But then we got to this stage where people are getting mugged left and right digitally. And now I feel like we're kind of swinging back on a pendulum to this point where we want to collaborate with others again and establish a new order for the internet.
Yeah.
So it is a really interesting time for that sort of stuff. One thing that does kind of scare me is kind of what you said. It is such a double-edged sword. And one thing that really does freak me out is with extreme views, no matter what political side you're on, because that seems to be the scariest thing. There are people who will read one article or watch one video that seems to uncover something crazy, and they're so mind blown, and then that's their living what's the word? That's their motto, and that's what they live by now, because they watch some crazy video. So they'll do whatever it takes to keep reading more and diving more and seeing more on this information that is probably psycho to everybody else. And as a result, they think that their own friends and family are crazy, so they cut them all off. And that's unfortunately the reality today. And it's so scary that it doesn't sound like this can be totally stopped with Web 3.0, but I have a feeling that level-headed people will be sort of the ones dictating what's right and wrong, instead of one entity saying oh, this is crazy, take this off the Facebook platform or Twitter or whatever it is. So hopefully DAOs will kind of help solve this. We'll see though. Like I said, it's very early stages. We're still 2.0. Maybe we're 2.0.9, maybe. Who
Yeah.
knows? But we're like not too far off. We're already touching. We're touching the service level of it, at least with blockchain development, I would say, and
Hmm.
that's why they're making the big bucks right now. So big companies can actually adapt that technology. So it's
Right.
coming, whether you like
Exactly.
it or not. Um,
Hmm.
Secure some Bitcoin or Ethereum
Yeah. Right. Hold
before,
on.
yeah, and just hold on to it. I mean, if you're not even interested in trading crypto or stocks or whatever it is, at
Hmm.
least buy like whatever you're comfortable with,
Right.
and just hold on to it. And who knows, 10 years down the road, you might be like, oh my god, I have Bitcoin, I'm ready. Like, because it might hit you in the face, like Web 3.0 is here. Sorry, no USD for this thing that you need to buy.
Right.
So if you remember, like, it's like a savings bond, remember savings bonds?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I have
Exactly.
those savings bonds. Good thing I got those. I mean, I've never thought that in my life, but you might think that with crypto. So
Hmm.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
buy and hold and just, have it. Think of it as like another sort of, not a safety net, because, it's a very volatile thing still. So maybe don't put everything you have in it for sure,
Hmm.
but, just
Hmm.
buy a little bit, and then who knows what it could be worth 10 years down the road, let's say. So
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's the whole like use it at your own risk. But
yeah, 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 yeah.
we always, say like be very conscious about what you're comfortable. Like be, like don't be uncomfortable when you're trying to invest in crypto. I personally don't, because obviously it, like you said, it's very volatile and we don't know like how things are going to happen over the next few years. But and there's no such thing as 100% risk free investment. That doesn't exist, so
Mm-mm.
it is something that is very promising. And I know that a chunk, of the people who buy Bitcoin, like probably just see the value in it's like it's probably only see its like fiat value, like its
Mm-hmm.
dollar value
Yeah, that's
instead.
true.
But eventually it will have its own value. At one point it will have its own value and it won't be comparable to dollars or any other kind of like currency anymore. So that's what that's my personal belief and why I have decided to invest what I was comfortable with in Bitcoin to see, what happens in the future. I think that for the past few years, we've seen how it has grown, like obviously like the demand for it has been much higher, but it's quite amazing what something, becoming popular and quote unquote trendy can do. If all it takes is a bluff to actually get blockchain in Web 3.0, I'm all for it. If the since Bitcoin is the driving force for Web 3.0, I'm all
Mm-hmm.
for it. Like,
Yep.
no, I mean, do you need a bigger purpose than that? Like, it's another push, to like evolve. Like, it just, I don't know, it just makes sense to me. I don't think that it's a bluff, but because it has grown so popular and so many people have decided to invest in it, other companies, other organizations, financial institutions have seen the big potential that this has, and yeah, the development behind the scenes has already like gained some momentum. So I think that whatever the cause is for this to keep growing and keep moving, by all means, like let's keep pushing that car, man. Like one day it will cross the line and there's no looking back. So
Mm-hmm. That's right.
yeah.
Well, keep your eyes out for Web 3.0 coming 2022 to a theater near
Yeah.
you.
You're right. Yeah.
Well, moving on, I think we could talk about this is pretty relevant to what we were talking about earlier. I also poked fun at it.
Mhm.
This whole metaverse thing.
Oh my gosh.
So, in case you guys missed it, there's a new parent company named for Facebook called Meta, aka the
Uh,
Metaverse. And don't worry, the Zuck is still CEO. And let's see, here in this article, it says the change is about recognizing a shift inside the company that's already taken place. Zuckerberg has been pouring billions of dollars, at least $10 billion this year alone, into building the metaverse, an expansive, immersive vision of the internet taken from the pages of sci-fi novels like Snow Crash and Ready Player One. Mark himself states, I think we're basically moving from being Facebook first as a company to being Metaverse first. So before we poke fun at it, in a good, just like taking a positive, optimistic stance on this, I think it makes sense to do that. Because they already own so many different products like Instagram, WhatsApp, what's the other thing, Oculus or Quest or whatever it is.
Oh, yeah, right.
Stuff like that. I mean, if the plan is to actually evolve the company and concentrate on more immersive spaces within the internet with a new name, I mean, you might as well go with a new name. You can't, attach Facebook to everything. It just sounds confusing as heck to just keep Facebook as an overall entity for something that isn't even the Facebook app. Like, I don't even have a Facebook, but if let's say I got something that was like, I don't know, some immersive, I don't know, I'm trying to think, some immersive game or whatever that is just owned by Facebook. And then they asked me to log in with my Facebook. I'm like, well, I don't want to do that. Like, just give me some Meta account or whatever that I can access all this stuff with it. I guess it would make more sense that way. So I don't know. That's like, me looking at the positives of this because it's already happened. What are you going to do? I think the name is kind of lame, though, if I might be critical.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, my gosh. So
Something sinister. I don't know.
it is. And I think, oh, my God, I saw on Reddit earlier this week about someone saying that in Persian, meta meant something really bad. So I forgot what it was. And I was just like, oh, goodness. I mean, Mark as his lizard self would pick Meta. No, just joking. But hey, I think you're right. See, like looking from the business, like from the business perspective, I think it makes sense. Just like Google did it. I think a couple of years ago, or however long it was now. Google is a product that falls under the Alphabet company. So the company name, is there, and it's nothing but like one of the products made by that company. Just like Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, you name it. All of those are products, now under the Meta company. So as far as him like pushing for, oh yeah, we're restructuring, renaming ourselves, rebranding. It is obviously, a very big PR play given all of the scandals that they've had in the recent years. So it's interesting that they were just like, yeah, no, man, we have to like rebrand right now if we want the walls to stay intact, because at the rate things are going. Then I think that they also wanted to detach themselves from the whole company, everything that they stand for, their practices, everything from the Facebook name, and just start from scratch, under a new name. Obviously, people still know, but we'll see what they come up with next. I mean, they are one of the biggest companies in the world, so unfortunately, I feel like they can just get away with about anything at this point.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the best I could say is that it's well played,
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if, with this whistleblowing thing that's happened within Facebook and the fact that, they are involving themselves in more of a broad expansion sort of thing of technology, like it makes sense that you wouldn't want to be attached to Facebook all the time. And I don't know. To me, Facebook is cancer on the internet. I do not really like Facebook at all. I don't like what it does to people and or anything at all. I just think it spreads way too much terrible tension that shouldn't even be there. And people have the freedom to just almost post whatever they want. Obviously censorship, blah, 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 yada, yada. But there's plenty of stuff that's totally allowed for some reason, but it's just destructive to people who are a little more gullible and maybe, not as, I'm going to say it, not as intelligent and really shouldn't be consuming this sort of stuff. Like it's almost,
Yeah.
it should be in the restricted section of the library, but it's just on
Right.
the public wall of Facebook. So,
Yep.
I'm kind of glad that it's just going to be some other thing. But at the same time, I think also like what's going to go away, like I'm just going to say it's well played that they did that. So,
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I guess it remains to be seen. They have all the resources to keep building. I mean, it would be so cool, honestly, to see what good things they could build, by being more conscious and having other interests than money, because they already have so much money. And that was one of the things that I took away the most from that, from the the testimony, or like that the whistleblower, whatever, not interview, oh my gosh, I always forget what those things are called, when she testified against Congress, about Facebook. She said, yeah, if Facebook changed their practices to be a more conscious company about their impact, their public impact, and their social impact, they would be able to eventually even make more money than they already do. But they choose to, keep going with the way that they're going, because I guess in their minds, it's like, why fix, what ain't broke? So they have a perfectly well-oiled machine that churns out millions of dollars, billions of dollars every year. And why are they going to compromise that just because the public, wants them to? I mean, after all, they are an enterprise with shareholders in mind. But it would be really cool to see a company of, that caliber, with all of the resources that they do, with all of the reach that they do, to actually come out and do something good. Unfortunately, I think that it comes down to leadership. Zuckerberg is probably not a guy that will do that. And and he has all the power in the world. Like, he's the last say in the company, So I guess if his past actions are any indication, Facebook will not change in terms of their philosophy, and what they expect to achieve. I think it would take, a different kind of vision, which I don't know if they have. Maybe this is their way of trying to get to that point. But that's all I can hope for. I just, other than React.js, I rather not interact with any kind of Facebook product at all.
I always seem to forget that they started React.js. Damn. Well,
Right.
If you're asking me, I think they should just get rid of Facebook and bring back FaceMash.
Was that a thing? What is that? I have never.
Oh, it was that thing that Zuck made in college before Facebook, where you rate girls.
Oh my god!
It would show
Sure.
It would show I think two pictures side by side, and you would just rate which one you preferred. And that was that was the thing he did before Facebook.
So Tinder.
Not really, because you couldn't. There was no messaging. You were anonymous rating on everybody.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so he accessed the database of students at Harvard with their student ID photos, and just used those photos, and only selected females, and had it just kind of you would select one, and then it would go to the next pair. You would select another one, go to the next pair, and it was interesting, because then he was able to kind of have this algorithm of what makes a girl hot or not.
Right. Jesus. So this guy has no redeeming qualities whatsoever. I mean,
I guess
he's
not.
An asshole through and through, and objectifying on top of it. So
It seems like it.
Right. Yeah.
I'm sure he's developed in his own ways, but yeah, for the most part, it's hard to develop much when you're a lizard. So
I was gonna say he probably just sheds. That's it.
His neck just goes.
This turned out to be, a Zuckerberg roast. Oopsie.
All right. Well, this week I'm going to go first with my recommendation, because Anna's is just so much cooler than mine. So So mine is called Storytale, and it basically allows you to download like high quality assets for your web app or mobile app, and I don't know, it just has really cool designs that I like and huge selection. There's like hand drawn doodles, and then there's like 3D vectors of cool shapes that you can just download. And the only thing is it's a subscription service, so you do have to pay monthly, but there's like different tiers for how big of a project sort of person you are, if you're like just doing this for personal reasons, or if you're like an actual business developing sites for other people and you want to utilize good assets. So I thought it was really cool. There's really good designs on there, and you can pick like a pack and then have like this common theme that goes throughout your site, and I'm sure you can customize the colors a little bit on them, but it kind of goes in line with those. I've been seeing it on every website. The cartoons with the people, and they have like small heads, but then like large feet and large hands. You know what I'm talking about?
I think so, yeah.
What's a good example of that? Maybe on...
Oh, God. Are they ads, though? I don't even know what they are.
I don't even know how to Google this. Flat, trendy. Flat, trendy people.
Oh, my God.
Like these sorts of people.
Ah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Man, those are huge shoes.
Like it's gonna be.
I love them.
Like they all look like that nowadays, and like look at that guy's legs. Huge. And look at this small head.
Oh my God, that is so comical. I love that one guy sitting on the chair there.
But yeah,
so
I mean, these are great and trendy.
Damn, look at the size of that head. Is that supposed to be a representative of something, like the general population has small brains?
I guess I've been seeing it more and more lately, and at first I thought it was kind of cute, but now I'm like, okay, let's go back to something else or try something new.
Right.
But but anyway, Storytale, go check it out if you're looking for some inspiration or looking for some assets to put on your site. They have really cool stuff, honestly. So check it out.
I love it.
Okay, yeah. Anna needs to tell us about this one because I couldn't help myself. I peeked at her notes and I checked it out, and I was blown away at how simple and cool it is. So go ahead, take it away.
All right, cool. So I've been on, processing purgatory. That's what we're calling it. People who ordered the MacBook Pros, because there's never any action on that, order status page. So turns out there's a Google Chrome extension that you can install called distillio, and it will monitor the changes on the webpage for you and send you notifications. So essentially it's like a web scraper, but you don't have to, there's no code. It's all like a single extension. So it doesn't have to be like about a purchase or anything, but let's say you're, just waiting on a status change for something. I don't know, oh God, how do I say this? Maybe a grade for school, maybe, that it will pick up on that change and notify you.
Yeah.
I think that, a big purpose for this is if you're trying to purchase something and you just want to see when it's in stock, so you get notified immediately and then you can go in and try to get it. But this was really cool because I know that a while back we talked about like a repository. I don't know. It was called, what was it, like Stockmaster or something? It started with an S, I think. But it was a repo that you could download.
Street merch.
Street merchant. Yeah, that's it.
Okay,
that's
yeah.
it.
Okay, yeah.
Yep. So I've never, I still have it starred on my account, and I love, taking a peek, but I was like, oh my gosh, I'm all for learning, applying code to what I can, but there are things that you don't want to invest that much time on, and this is an extension that solves that. So I thought it was definitely a good plug.
Yeah, on their page, I think great assets, by the way. They probably got them from Storytale with the cool little droplet guys.
Yeah, very cute.
Yeah. So in their example, they show like a thing on a page that you might want to track, like the price of something that you plan on buying. So you would select it on the page, and then it would target that price, just the price. So then it notifies you by texting you or emailing you or whatever you want to do, and lets you know when it changes in any way. I don't think if it's a number, I'm sure it can, figure out if it went up or down, but it's mostly just seeing like when something on the page changes. So you're going to be told like, oh, this price changed. So, go check it out. Here's the link to it, whatever. So
right.
Just absolutely brilliant. I was blown away when I saw that.
Yes, spread the word. I think that I'm definitely going to be using this for things that I need to monitor from now on, because that's one thing, like, when you bought, like when I placed my order for the laptop, they emailed me the confirmation. It has, an order number, but the Apple Store app on the phone is not as detailed in terms of like, the progress updates on the order. So you have to download or you have to actually go on the browser and use your order number to be able to get more detailed, status updates. So that's what I plan on applying to. I'm going to test it out tonight and see if I get any notifs. I think that'll be really handy,
Yeah, hope so. I just thought of a crazy awesome idea, and please nobody steal my idea, but and I just tried Googling it, but I can't find it. How crazy would it be if there was this would be so dumb. If there was an app where it's literally just a button and then maybe a little slider or something for price. So you set the price that you're comfortable with buying. So let's say you want to spend anywhere from $1 to $50. So you set that range, and then you hit shuffle, and you just buy a random item on Amazon, and it just goes and fetches a random item that's for sale on Amazon, but it has to be within that price range, and then it just ships to you, and it doesn't tell you what it is until it gets to your house.
That's fun, actually.
I know there's those mystery boxes that you can buy, but this is different.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Okay.
This is one item where like the algorithm fetches the item for you. It's not like, a stock issue in the warehouse or whatever,
Yeah, right. Man, can you imagine the weird things you might get without knowing what it is?
Exactly.
Like if it's literally anything in the Amazon, library or whatever.
Yeah. And imagine
Man.
setting the range to like a high range, like, $5,000 to $10,000, seeing what comes back in the mail.
Probably like a fucking statue. And then you're like, where do I put this?
That kind of makes me curious. What's the most expensive thing you can buy on Amazon?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I probably have seen really expensive watches on there, so I don't know what else. Do they sell like cars? I'm not sure if it's like
I'm looking right
eBay.
now, and I'm gonna maybe give you a hint if it's interesting, and then you're gonna have to guess what this could even be. Okay, so the most expensive thing. Oh, you already kind of said it. It's a watch.
Really?
The most expensive product on Amazon 2021 was some rose gold watch for $300,000.
Oh my! That's probably one of like the Swiss watches that are like insanely expensive.
And then back in 2020, the number one most expensive thing was a Dracula 1931 original movie poster for $1.25 million.
No way.
Yeah, on Amazon. Yeah. It was probably
it
auction.
sold?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm probably not going to do it. Maybe I'll look into it, but somebody please build an Amazon roulette of some kind.
Amazon roulette. Yeah, that's
something
right.
like that. I don't even know. Maybe I don't know how you would access a random item on Amazon like that. I don't know.
Does Amazon have an API? Like a public API?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. I've never looked into that. But still, I mean, there might be something like you maybe if you can like order from the back end, you would have to like set up some kind of like RPA or whatever process that will like reach the screen for you and then, order whatever comes first, like in that price range. But seems like it's doable. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just take like a few, bits and pieces.
Sounds messy, but I'm gonna look into it anyway.
Right. It does.
Yeah.
Cool.
Anything else? Any last words, Anna?
Okay, so I just want to, I don't want to end the episode on a bad note, but I just want to say, a quick boo to Notability because I bought Notability years ago, like a subscription for the note taking app. I know that we were talking about Bear App last week, right?
Yeah.
So I love Bear App, but Notability this week, they released an announcement that they are no longer making lifetime like they're no longer abiding by their lifetime subscription model where you purchase the app and it was a single transaction for like $10 back in the day and you could have it for life. Now, starting at the end of next year, they're going to do a freemium, which means if you go with the freemium, then you're downgrading your product because there will be less features.
Oh no.
Or you can transition to an annual subscription model. So whatever they sold us back in the day, including me, that said, you would have the app for life, they lied. I feel scammed out of my money.
Oh no. So you would use this?
I used to use it. No, I'm saying a quick boo. Like, no, don't do this. But yeah, I mean, I used to like the app and it was really cool that I bought it when I was going to school years ago and I still have it. I can download the app to every device that I have because they sold me on the idea that it was going to be for life, but obviously now they're like, that doesn't make us as much money. So you guys either go on an annual model or you get the freemium.
Yikes. Getting greedy.
Yeah, they are. But I really like the Bear app. So I've been looking into that and been practicing on it. Even on my phone, their app is great.
I've been loving it too. Speaking of the Bear app a little bit, so we decided to do a cool thing with Patreon, which I've already mentioned at the beginning of the episode at this point, probably. Haven't recorded it yet, but probably will. So if you sign up for the Patreon, you basically get the show notes, which they basically look like blogs. They are beautiful and extensive and have, I don't know, great pieces of information. Sometimes I didn't go into something and sometimes I went too much into something. So who knows? If you have the show notes, it's just a little plus. If you got some free time, you can look at it. It also has the links to everything, which I already put in the description, but it has some cool insider BTS sort of stuff. But then also, this is the coolest part of the Patreon. You also get you get early access to the episode. So we haven't really decided on a specific day. I'm thinking maybe hump day, perhaps.
Ooh, that's actually a good one.
Get the episode early on hump day. So, help you get through the week instead of waiting all until Sunday. So, that's a, pretty early access. I only hear of other podcasters doing a day early with Patreon. So, I mean, this is, pretty revolutionary. And I think it's worth being put in the books of podcasters. So,
right.
Feel free to sign up. People who have already signed up, we thank you so much for even doing that. We didn't even know what we were going to give you in return besides just continuing the episodes. But we decided that we have a couple of things up our sleeves that we want to give out for the people who sign up. They might as well get something special because, they're going above and beyond and actually paying for something. So, to the current Patreon people, thank you so much. And to anyone who's thinking about it, now you have a little bit more of a reason to, if you're into getting the episodes early / seeing more behind the scenes sort of content. So if you're interested, the link will be below. And that's about it for Patreon. We also have a Twitter and, We also have an email.
Email.
All that stuff. So feel free to talk to us
A
on that.
pigeon.
Yeah, but you can talk to us on Patreon too. It's like a wall. Like you can comment and message us and stuff like that. We can plan some special stuff if we get enough people. So fun times ahead. So I'm really excited.
Yeah, thank you so much for our supporters already on there, and for all of the other listeners. But yeah, getting the early access would be a cool treat for those that are willing and want to see us keep going with the show. Now that we're about to approach a year, which is insane to say out loud, honestly, but it's been a cool ride, and we want to keep going. So
absolutely. And I don't know. What do you think? Do you think people who sign up for Patreon, they're basically producers at this point?
I mean, I would probably say so, right? They help us like keep the show going. So
yeah. Well, there you go. If you want to be a producer of the show, all you got to do is sign up on Patreon. There you go.
Yeah, right.
Perfect.
Well, even we can even find a way to attribute credit or like some thanks to those people. Once you do pledge, a little help, like a little contribution here and there. So that's like another idea to come.
Yeah, we could put you in the credits of the show once we get some actual credits for the show. Because it would seem a little redundant, to put Ann and I's names since our name's already there before the credits. Right. So once we get the credits going, we'll give you a little shout out and give you some street cred, I guess. Which will help you on the street for sure if you're a producer on a freaking nerdy tech show. That'll keep the bad people away from you. So.
But we appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, have a great rest of your week, guys, and peace out. I did that in the wrong order, but Tech Heads out. Bye.
Bye, guys.